Welcome back. Let's go back to Shereen, who has with her Arvind Subramanian, the Chief Economic Advisor, and Ratan Watal, the Chief Finance Secretary. Shereen, over to you.
All right, thanks very much, Kritika. Yes, we are now joined by the Finance Secretary as well as the Chief Economic Advisor, Mr. Subramanian. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Mr. Watal, if I could start by asking you to just take us through the breakup. I'm looking at the food subsidy head, 1.4 lakh crore rupees. This is the same as the revised estimate as well. The budget estimate is the same as the revised estimate. Does this factor in the full rollout of the Food Security Act, because that kicks in now?
We've kept it at the same level because there are a large number of measures which are being taken across the board in which we are looking at more efficient ways where we can manage the subsidy.
But are you being a tad conservative on this number, sir?
Being conservative? No, it will work this year.
What kind of efficiencies are you expecting on that? Because the full rollout hasn't even taken place.
That also will take this entire year, in the sense that all the states are not completely on board. But we are taking, we will take measures in terms of experiments in DBT have started, for example, where we'll probably be able to weed out a large number of persons who are perhaps taking a double subsidy or something like that. Okay. There are a large number of measures like that which we are contemplating will make the use of this expenditure on subsidy. Or whatever the recommendations are. We are also engaging with major stakeholders like the railways, the JCM, and other beneficiaries of the pay commission. In that context, we have, as you mentioned, factored in around in the range of 65 to 68,000. I mean, that's my estimate of money.
Okay.
Now, it will all depend on what the recommendations of this committee is going to be during the course of the year, and then we'll take it from there.
So you
we are confident that
it will be between 65 to 68,000 and not the 74,000 crores that the commission was.
Again, let me tell you, in a pay commission, normally people factor in that full amount, and that tends to give that way of seeing that this can be levelized over a time. There have been things in the situation in the past where pay commissions have been implemented not in time. In this government, the pay commission was set up, it gave its report in 18 months, we are ready with it, it's under consideration, and I'm sure
it would then be fair to say that the government expects the outgo to be significantly lower than what the pay commission is recommending.
I wouldn't say that. I can't prejudge what the committee is going to recommend.
You said you're broadly working with 65,000,
yeah, but I said that, you see, I told you in the beginning that there are some things which are prospective, some things which are given in areas. Now, as Expenditure Secretary, I would like that I don't generate any areas because everything kicks in from the 1st of January. Now, I can pay this out in this year. Sometimes it can be carried on to the next year. It can be levelized. But the full payout will be there, whatever is decided.
Okay.
That's all.
Let me also then ask the two of you a question as far as subsidies are concerned, because you, in fact, Mr. Watal, said that subsidies must remain below 1.6% of GDP. Can we expect, as we move towards the JAM Trinity, for this number to be significantly lower, and what could that possibly be over the next few years, you feel?
So I think that, one of the, I think the very important measures in this budget is this Aadhaar bill that the finance minister announced. Because if you recall, there's been some uncertainty over the use of Aadhaar for some of these transfers, direct transfers. So once that's in place, that will remove any residual uncertainty going forward. So that going forward, the DBT agenda, the JAM agenda can be extended to other areas as well. Food, kerosene, and then also in the budget, pilots in fertilizer have also been announced. So, and of course, we're already doing that in government programs already. So I think, in a sense, laying the architecture, the legal and the physical infrastructure for pushing the JAM agenda with significant possibilities for savings in the next few years.
Okay, so what could that percentage be as a percentage of GDP as and when we start to see the full benefits of moving towards JAM?
I mean, that's very difficult to say now. What we can say is this, based on experience. The PEHL scheme, where we implemented this, the Economic Survey did a rigorous analysis. We've saved 25% in the PEHL scheme because of DBT, which comes almost entirely from deduplication and elimination of the ghost beneficiaries. So that's the that's kind of the scope of savings that one can expect once the JAM thing is implemented in other areas.
Okay. Mr. Watal, there's been a lot of emphasis on how the government needs to actually be at the forefront of spending in order to try and stimulate growth. If I were to look at a percentage of capital expenditure, it is at 12%, or you're expecting it to be at 12%, so there's not really any great change over FY16 and what you expect for FY17, am I right?
Yeah, we are maintaining it at that level for the time being, yeah.
And you believe that this is going to be enough to try and give a fillip or as much as a fillip that we're hoping for?
Well, this is something, it's a balance that we have tried to do in terms of keeping the fiscal targets the way they're in mind.
But also, I think, just to add to what Ratan is saying, that what you've quoted is the number, the budgetary number. In addition, we're going to finance it through
IEBR,
through other sources, especially through bonds, which the government is going to support.
Yes, yeah. And there, I'd just like to add there what Arvind said. For example, in railways, the budgetary support is about 45,000 crores. We have a planned budget of nearly 1.2 lakh crores over there, where the railways is going to raise its own resources.
Yes, through LIC, etc.
And similarly on the road side.
But for the roads, it's only 15,000 crore rupees additionally that you're looking by way of bonds.
Yeah, but the whole amount which is also going to be given to the Sadak Yojana, etc., where nearly 19,000 crores is being given. If we take roads, railways put together, it's going to cost nearly 2 lakh crores, the amount of money which is going to be put into the sector. Okay. So it's a combination of both support from the government, but also resources being generated outside. And here I'm not adding things like the irrigation sector, etc., where special measures have been taken to support really low-hanging fruit in canals and other places where we can pass on money to the state governments to implement their schemes.
Okay, since we now have the budget out of the way, I can get both of you to be a little more candid, and let me start by asking you, Mr. Subramanian, as far as the fiscal review of the fiscal framework is concerned, and the finance minister now saying that a committee will be set up. In fact, you, Mr. Watal, did say that there is a case now to actually look at fiscal deficit on a consolidated basis between centre and states. That's something that you've been pushing as well as the CEA. What should we now realistically expect as far as this reworking of the FRBM is concerned in the context of what we've seen being articulated today? Let me start with you, Mr. Subramanian.
So, see, as I've said, and we said in the economic survey as well, there are very good intrinsic reasons unrelated to 3.9, 3.5, why we need to reevaluate the medium-term framework. You know, we need an expenditure framework that's medium term, especially now with the Planning Commission having given way to the Niti Aayog. We need some medium-term expenditure planning. And on the fiscal framework itself, we've had a fiscal deficit rule, right? I think we want to see whether there are other anchors that we can provide, either, you know, debt targets, you know, golden rules, revenue deficit, effective revenue deficit, and also to be able to, you know, within a fiscal anchor, to provide for the possibility of counter-cyclical fiscal policy as well. You know, if things go very bad, you don't want the government to take away the one. So all of these things are going to be part of this, what this committee will look at, so that in a sense what we're saying is that we need a fiscal framework, medium-term framework for the 21st century.
Okay, and we will wait to see what the decisions or the recommendations of the committee are that will be set up by the government. But let me also ask you, Mr. Watal, you know, as far as the disinvestment side of the story is concerned, in terms of what was budgeted in the previous year and what has finally happened, it's about 25,000 crores versus the almost 70,000 crores if you include strategic divestments that was budgeted for in FY16. In FY17, you've been a little more pragmatic perhaps in your provisioning, and you've budgeted about 56,000 crores, 20,000 crores by way of strategic sales. I mean, that's a matter that's fraught with all kinds of complexities and challenges. If we were to fall short on the disinvestment side again, do you think that you have significant cushion to be able to absorb that hit?
Well, number one, you know, I won't get into any hypothetical questions whether we'll fall short.
Strategic disinvestment, what I would add is that, you know, we need a policy framework to support the strategic disinvestment, and I think that policy framework is being put in place, which will support that. I think that will lend credibility to the target as well.
Okay, so that's as far as the disinvestment is concerned. If I were to ask the two of you now, and Mr. Watal, let me ask you, because I've already spoken the day of the economic survey with the CEA, what to your mind do you see as the big risks or the big challenges that could create some problems with the fiscal math that you've put out?
In the coming year?
Yes.
Well, I don't see any. I mean, it's a target which I think the way we have worked out the revenue figures and the cushions that we have built in, quite frankly, if you ask me, I could do better than that also.
You can do better